Thank you for joining, and we can't wait to get started. Welcome to another episode of Interview Mondays. Today is a subcategory, which is Keeping It Real Estate with Natalie Vieira from Dominion Lending. So I'm just going to wait till Natalie actually joins and asks me to join. And as soon as she joins, we'll be ready to roll. Hope you're having a fabulous Monday. It's been a rainy day out here. Quite a rainy day, I would say. So, hope you're keeping dry. So we're just waiting for a few people to join. There we go. And waiting for Natalie to join. So can't wait to watch the Raptors game. There you are.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
How are you?
Good. And you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Your hair looks different today. Looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my natural wave.
Nice. So thank you again for coming on live for this episode. I am so grateful because we know there's been a bunch of changes. So I guess this is the perfect time. So before we get started, maybe introduce yourself. I know viewers have watched you before, and introduce yourself and your Instagram handle as well.
Sure. My name is Natalie Vieira, and I'm a licensed mortgage agent for Dominion Lending Center's Mortgage Connection. And my handle is Mortgages Vieira for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And now I'm on TikTok, so I have to learn. You're so much
Don't we
better
all?
at it. Maybe
You
you'll have
know
to teach
what?
me some tricks.
You know what? I just watch other people. I just watch what's trending and I try to copy. I don't do the dancing stuff, but I try. I'm
It's a
still,
lot.
yeah, it's a work in progress, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, my goodness, we did this not too long ago, and um, there's been quite a bit of change, and quite a bit of change. And so maybe let me start by asking you um, if you can tell me some of the affordable housing incentives that were recently announced by the Canadian government.
Yeah, so actually, this new housing affordability has been in the news. As you know,
Hmm.
there's a provincial election coming up. So they're talking about it, which, we're happy.
Hmm.
Because when they're not talking about it, that's when that's an issue. So, they basically announced just earlier this month, April 7th, the government of Canada is going to propose a 10 billion package of different incentives to reduce the cost of housing. And this is good, but at the end of the day, you know, uh, housing supply is the major problem. Um, we just not building fast enough because the demand is so much higher than what we're able to build. And due to this, immigration policy that the government of Canada has put in place since 2015 to just open the doors to the immigrants coming in. Um, so that leaves us with, a shortage of housing supply. And unfortunately, the government of Canada, they're trying hard, to talk about this and maybe change some policies around that to make it easier for, especially first-time home buyers to enter the market. As a lot of first-time home buyers, it's hard coming up with that down payment. It's hard, to qualify with a qualifying rate, and housing prices, as you know, are just on the increase. So, I mean, they have like a few incentives. They're trying to see if they can change the first-time home buyers incentive, but it's a shared equity with the government of Canada, so it's not very appealing. Um, but they're talking about it, so we're happy. And at the end of the day, uh, this comes down to the government of Canada only has a hand on affordable housing or low cost housing through CMHC. So it does come down to the municipal government to sort of open that up, and just kind of cut the red tape, zoning restrictions, and some delays that have been that are present. But keeping in mind that there's also some pushback from local residents that don't want that condo or different developments happening in their backyard, as they say.
Yeah.
So it's if you follow me on my Instagram, I will, for the month of May, we'll have different information on the incentives that the government of Canada is proposing. Some of them have already been in place for
Mhm.
this year. Some are going into next year. So just little different things that they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed. And maybe I'll kind of add a little 2 cents of my opinion. I'm not opposed to shared equity. The way I look at it is it's free money, it's interest free, and what's wrong with shared equity, right? Like it's basically um, you're getting this money, and there's no handouts, right? None of us got handouts. People have to work for it, so shared equity is okay, I think. I think it's just the information that if people have all of the information, then they make an informed decision. But
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
interest free, and I think it's definitely something for people to look into. But it's interesting. Thank you for the love. It's interesting because today I was on an MPAC market intelligence webinar, and one of the things they were showing is this little graph about you know um, construction and how much uh, uh, all of these developments have come forward and where this graph has gone. And it was quite interesting. And but then he broke it down a bit, and it actually changed the view on it, because it showed that there were a lot of condo type developments as
Yeah.
opposed to single family homes. But when you break it down further, I think there's a disconnect between family size, and housing. So it's okay to keep building, one bedroom condos and having a whole bunch of them, but if you've got a large family, where'd you put them, right? So it's that kind of disconnect,
That
I
won't
think.
work.
Yeah, that I think we need to get better with, right? Um, so that was interesting, and then the other rant I'm going to do, because we're on this, is developers. Yeah, developers. It's great that they're building, but there should be tougher laws in place for developers that actually decide to get a little greedy and pull out of a building a couple of years into it. They've sat on people's money for a couple of years, and then they want to double their profits, so they decide
That's so
that
true.
amount. So
Yeah.
I think those are some of the key things that I'm like um, my little rant about. But
Yeah,
um,
no, you're right. You're right. And there's got to be some policy in place to
yeah,
prevent that from
tighter
such a big
policy.
jump from the initial to, at the end when the condo's already built.
Yeah.
I mean, 2, 3 years, it can change drastically, and who's going to be able to afford that?
Especially us as
Not knowing.
realtors,
Yeah.
right? Like we're putting our name on, alongside that customer. Like my customers are gold to me, right? And so,
Yeah.
I'm certainly
Same
not
here.
going to put them in a path, where they're going to see the worst. Like I don't want to deal with them for one transaction. Me, it's a lifetime transaction, right?
Yeah,
So, I
absolutely.
mean, that's a little. I mean, they have to do something a little more about that piece. But like moving on, and maybe we'll have another show where I can rant some more about that. But
Yeah.
it's, so in in um, what should borrowers do given all of this information coming in? What should they do if they're on the fence about buying a home?
Yeah. So, I'm a big, I guess, motivator to buy a home, but only if you are actually ready to buy a home.
Mhm,
And I think that's why it's so important that, people connect with a mortgage broker. We pretty much breathe mortgages. And, not only that, we are offering expert, unbiased advice. And that piece of advice is really important because even if you're just considering buying a home, um, talk to a mortgage broker because we are here really to hold your hand throughout the whole process. And we're your biggest supporter, right?
mhm,
We're not going to get paid. Not that it has to do with money, but
yeah.
we want that house for you, right? We want to close that mortgage. So we do everything it takes to do that. And if somebody is on the fence about, wanting to invest a home, at the end of the day, we all need a place to live, whether it's renting or buying. So that's, where as mortgage brokers kind of, by different conversations and different, emails and text messages, what have you, we're able to identify, their strengths and their weaknesses, right?
Mhm,
And, we don't look at weaknesses as being weak. It's life, right? It's, whether it's a divorce, whether it's, moving towns or countries, like there's so many different situations. And
mhm,
we're able to sort of take that approach of selling a product that's going to work for them, right?
mhm.
And at the end of the day is, we want to make it um, as less stressful because it's financing, right? You're dealing with the biggest purchase of your life, and it can be stressful because people are unsure of the process. So, and they'll
Mhm.
have a lot of questions. And as you know, I'm here to pick up the phone, whether it's at 9 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night on a weekend, what have you. So we're here for them, right? And it's really personalized. We take into account where they are, where they've been, and where they want to go.
Yeah, and this is the other thing I've noticed. I do a fair amount of business. For some reason, I have a lot of patients for first-time home buyers, and I do a lot of business for first-time home buyers, right? And I also do, um, and I've noticed, that's the group that needs the most hand-holding. They have the most questions. But I also have a number of people, and I tell them this is your largest asset, right? But they're so secretive about certain things, right? Like some will come to you and they are totally open book and they, trust you, and some others will start to look on your website, but um, there's no loyalty, and they'll just go with someone who they think they're getting a good deal with. And it's kind of scary. It is very scary when you think about it, right? Um,
Yeah, I
and
think we're just bombarded with information. I mean, now you have these
mhm,
websites that will, essentially pre-approve you, right?
yes.
And, they can guarantee this rate or that rate. And it just becomes, a little overwhelming, but not only that, they're just trying to get the best mortgage for them, right? But that's where we need to eliminate that process because nobody knows mortgages inside out
Yeah.
unless you really are involved in that process. And we can sort of, not sort of, that's our job is to sort of pinpoint, I guess is the word I'm not really the word I'm looking for, but analyzing their
Yeah.
situation is how we are best able to help them.
Mhm.
And this takes many conversations, right? And sometimes, clients think that by, not hiding or just not disclosing everything, that, we're not going to find out. But I always tell my clients, yeah, right? I always tell my clients, I'm here like as an unbiased person, right? It doesn't matter which bank I send your mortgage application. I just want you to have a mortgage. But if you don't tell me everything that I need to know, then if something comes up, like towards like closing date, like that's my worst nightmare. Like finding out like some information that I didn't know prior to sending
Yeah.
for that mortgage pre-approval and then finding out. But so I tell them like I'm here to help you. I'm only going to disclose what I need to disclose basically.
Yeah, it's almost like, yeah, please don't roll up in that new car on closing day, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
24 hours before. Yeah, no, absolutely. I was meaning to ask you, the Bank of Canada increased the overnight rate on April 13th. And so how has that impacted rates?
Well, this is like the biggest increase in a very, very long time, like many years. It's 0.5%, 50 basis points. Um, a lot of people kind of expected that. Like, we talked about it at our last meeting last month.
Mm,
There were talks about that. At the end of the day, you know, we had very low interest rates throughout the pandemic, and um, inflation is crazy high right now, 5.7%, and the only way to offset that is to make borrowing money more expensive, and that's what they did. So the prime rate with most banks have changed from 2.7 to 3.2. So it's going to cost a little bit more to borrow money. But at the end of the day, we're not talking about anything over 5%. I mean, of course, there's every situation is every
yeah.
situation. You can get 5% if um if you don't qualify for, a lower mortgage. I mean, variable right now is still pretty attractive, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's still like a 2 point something, depending on the bank. But if you're looking at fixed, it's like over 3%. Whereas before, like it was
Yeah.
like under 2%, right? Remember,
Yeah.
like 1.8.
Yeah.
No, those are the days. That's over now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. They did predict that they were going to have anywhere from 4 to 6 Bank of Canada increases this year alone. So it's going to happen some more, I'm afraid. So spring is here. you know, Hopefully, we get a little bit more supply. And, if you're on the fence, I would say, contact a mortgage broker that's going to put your interest first, right, and foremost, and get a pre-approval. Lock in that rate. Some lenders do their own underwriting. I mean, what I mean to say is they will underwrite the files for a pre-approval. Not all lenders do that. I myself also underwrite the file, but if you want that lender pre-approval where they actually underwrite the file, that can be done. And, you're locking in a rate for 4 months. And, if you don't
Mhm.
do anything with it, at least you got to talk to a mortgage broker to get pre-approved.
Yeah, and I think it's important to do that now because, I mean, the rumor is the next one is going to be a full basis points. And so we won't know until that happens. And that would really kind of take that rate a little. I want to use that word lightly, a little higher, because we've gone so spoiled with these rates, and we've had this low rate for over 10 years now. So I think people have gotten used to just these variables at single digit variables, like point
So true.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
So that the moment it just gets above a certain amount, everyone's like, getting a little worried, right? Um, and I mean, I want to bring up the tool that I use every now and then, the my mortgage my mortgage toolkit. You can download that at the App Store, right? And that's
Yeah.
Natalie's given me that um, the app, the link for the app, and it's actually
Yeah.
quite handy to work
Oh,
through.
I use it up like almost every day. Even
Yeah.
today, you know, I was like, the client wanted to know what the difference between biweekly payments and accelerated biweekly payments, and what would be the difference per month and per year. I just went on my app to calculate that.
Yeah,
So much
amazing.
easier and faster.
Absolutely. Accelerated is the way to go. You'll shave off quite a bit, actually. Um, so then maybe just let us know, what are your thoughts? What's the difference between a A lender and a B lender?
Yeah, that's a great question. So your A lending is your prime, your five top banks. And then we mortgage brokers also have access to those five top banks, as well as other banks, credit unions, trust companies that essentially they've been around for a long, long time, depending on the bank. But we call them monolines, and they basically only sell mortgages as their product. So they don't have a branch per se.
Hmm.
But they are a great option, even for prime lending. Sometimes I prefer it because I'll be honest with you, the five top banks, they are backed up, right?
Yeah.
It's the turnaround time is so much longer with these credit unions. And it's not to say that they have better products. I mean, they can, but these companies, these banks have been around for a long time. Some of them are traders, like they are on the Toronto Stock Exchange. They have really, they tend to be a little bit more customer service driven because they're not dealing with so much volume. Well, they do, but when you compare it with, of course, the top five banks, the volume's quite lower. So they're able to offer really attractive products, and I really enjoy them. They're really great to work with, so easy to work with, and my clients love them.
Yeah.
Oh, and your question in regards to the B lending.
Hmm.
So the B lending, or what we call as well alternative lending, um, it's for people that don't quite fit into the prime space. Sometimes they'll have like alt A, right, which is like
Hmm.
sort of between the B and the A, but I'm not going to get into that. But basically, it's just you're dealing with usually the alternative lending will have a lender's fee involved. It's just because it's a risk aspect. It's for people that have a lower Beacon score or have a higher debt to income ratio. A lot of different factors, right?
Hmm.
And it's a great option for people that if you're self-employed or if you're new to Canada, like so many different programs that they have, and you get in on the market, and I tell my clients this is a short-term solution. Usually, it's either a 1, 2, or 3 year term. You do pay that, 1.5, 1 to 2% lender fee one time, and then with some credit repair or credit counseling or whatever the case may be, if they're just entering a different field in their employment, and because of that, they didn't quite make it to prime. So I say, okay, once you've been at your job for like a year, then we can move you to the A space. So, it's just working with my clients and making sure that we have a plan in place and lead them in the right direction, having, some things to work on, right? Homework, I call it. And then at the end of that term, we revisit and we want to move them from the alternative space to prime space. Sometimes it takes longer, right? Sometimes,
Yeah.
not right away, but the the goal is to not keep them there for longer than 5 years.
My goodness, you came online, and I was so excited to get started with this that I forgot to tell people that, you can ask questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the question box is empty, the comments are empty, but I don't want people to feel like they can't reach out. So,
Yeah, that's what
if
we're
it's
here
something
for.
we
If you
haven't
have a
touched
question about
on,
your situation,
yeah,
feel
just
free.
feel free to reach out or type your question in quickly before we wrap up. Um, Natalie, as always, you bring a wealth of knowledge, and I want to thank you for, coming on the show and doing,
It's fun. I
this,
get to do my makeup, which it
uh,
doesn't happen every day.
which is
I
nice.
love makeup,
Yeah.
right? It's like, it's my thing, right? And it's, when you're at home working from home and you don't have to, like you don't, right? Like,
Yeah,
why would you?
that's
You
right.
always look beautiful every time.
I, 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 I want to say I'm a makeup addict, but I actually am not very good with it. I'm just like basic makeup stuff. I don't know how to do too much more. I mean, I'm sure I can do some tutorials and learn, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I thank you though. You're very kind. So tell everyone how they can get a hold of you and your Instagram handle. And yes,
Yeah, for sure. So my Instagram handle is at Mortgages Vieira. I have, kind of not an easy name, but it's Vieira. There's not a second I.
yes.
Not like the TV, you can get the TV for Vieira without the I. But anyway, I'm just trying to make a bad joke. Um, you can check out my website, mortgagesvieira.ca. You can email me, call me, 647-969-5695. If I don't get to you right away, leave a message and I'll call you right back or as soon as I can. And yeah, it's the pleasure as always. Jackie, you're
Thank
okay if I
you.
call you
Yes,
Jackie, right?
absolutely.
Do you know that you have my mother's name?
Aw, how
I
could you
swear.
forget my name
True
then?
story.
Um, so, yeah, well, before we wrap up, for all of you watching, my name is Jacqueline Watson. I'm a realtor with Sutton Group. I do the show on Mondays. Typically, there's a show that goes on at 6, and then when we do the second segment, which is Natalie, um, she comes in at 6:30 once a month, and we talk about, whatever. It's just a couple of, if you have questions that you want to ask in advance of our next month, please feel free to message me and we'll make sure we get those questions in to Natalie so that we can air it on the next showing. And I want to thank you for spending your time with me. It's much appreciated. And
Oh,
before we
you're
sign
very
off,
welcome. Thank you for having me. And I'd have to agree, Jacqueline, she's like amazing. Okay. If you're looking or just
yeah,
considering, contact her. She's such a good listener, very detail oriented. She's passionate. She's just altogether just a really, really
thank you.
great professional.
I try. Yeah, I want to give the best service we can give. That's what we're in for, right? So, and it's great that I partner with people who share the same, values as I do. So thank you so much for that. Um, and go Raptors, right? Go Raptors.
Oh,
So
what's
thank
going
you.
on? I'm lost. I just know that we're doing well.
So yes, go Raptors. We got to win the next all of them. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in
Yeah,
to
thanks
watch
for
us.
joining us,
Uh-huh.
and we'll see you. Well, we're
Okay,
gonna do
next
this,
month.
me and Jackie, in
Yeah.
next month. We have to
Awesome.
set a date though,
Yes,
but it's
we
usually on Monday evenings at 6:30.
perfect. We'll see you then. Thank you. Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Have a
Bye.
good evening. Have a
You as
great
well.
week.